Active listening is one of the most important soft skills to have if you want to be a great seller. Remember, you can't learn anything about your prospect when you're talking. Author of Shut the Hell Up and Sell, Ronnell Richards, has been an expert at this and many other skills that make great sellers. And he gives his all cake, no frosting insight coming up next. Author of Shut the Hell Up and Sell, founder of Business and Bourbon, lifetime sales leader. The list goes on and on. I'm going to shut the hell up, though, and let him introduce himself.
Brian, you forgot underwater basket weaving champion. I've done that as well. Hey, thank you for the invite, Brian. I'm really excited and stoked to be part of this combo. I'm a guy that's done a whole bunch of stuff. But what I'm probably most known for, I would like to say kind of like the ultimate entrepreneur, right? And so I bring that entrepreneurial approach to the sales process, which is a bit of a different approach and different take, right? I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started my first official company when I was, right around 2004. Prior to that, grew up in entrepreneurship. So my approach and kind of like thought process about sales is really more of a long-term sort of thing, right? Because in all of my businesses, I'm thinking about how am I going to make sales, not just today, but I'm going to do that 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And when you kind of evolve your thinking to be a little bit more like that entrepreneur, it changes the way you execute in the sales process. So that kind of bleeds over into everything that I do. So as you mentioned, we have the Business and Bourbon brand and company where we're doing events and experiences for mostly salespeople and entrepreneurs across the country. And just a way for people to network and build deeper relationships. I have my consulting firm, Ronnell Richards, LLC, where we're helping companies with their marketing and sales strategy. In addition to that, I run a technology sales firm as well. So I kind of do a whole bunch of stuff, but I've got good help and I've got a fantastic assistant. Shout out to Jen to make sure I don't screw too much up.
People like you that write books and start companies and, kind of really give back and do it in a positive manner. What motivates you? Like at the end of the day, what's motivating you and driving you to do all of these great things at a really high level?
Wow. What motivates me? For me, there is a responsibility that I've just kind of always felt, and it goes back to my ancestry. It goes back to my parents, my grandparents, and we're Midwest people, right? We come from steel mill country, and prior to that, South Carolina and fields, right? And so like I've always felt this strong sense of community and responsibility to make those sacrifices that my ancestors made to make it worth something. And I think that that's something that whether you have a background like mine or not, I think that's something that so many people can connect with, because we'll all, I think, agree that we've got it easier than our parents had it. It's certainly easier than our great grandparents had it. So I think that for me, it's just really my motivation is tied up in gratitude. I think that's something that so many people can use as a motivator, right? Just being grateful for the opportunity that we have and being respectful of those that came before us to put us in the position that we're in today.
Yeah, I love that. One thing we say over here a lot is have an attitude of gratitude. And that definitely resonates, man. Man, our audience is salespeople, right? Mainly sales leaders. So I got to get into giving them a little bit of something there. For those for people that are looking for a new book, Ronnell, you wrote Shut the Hell Up and Sell for a reason. How would someone looking for a new book that picks up Shut the Hell Up and Sell, how would that book positively influence their life and then their sales acumen?
Okay, so first I'm going to tell you a little bit about my book. I'm going to give you some direction, right? If you're looking to get a better education in sales. What I wanted to do, Brian, with this book is really cut out the fluff. I find that there's so much superficial fluff and so much of the media that we consume, whether it is books or it's videos and training courses. There's just a lot of superficial stuff. And I wanted to get straight to the meat, so to speak. So I often joke that my book is all cake and no frosting, right? You guys remember when a few years ago when cupcakes were all the thing, right? There's cupcake shops opening up all over the place. And you go in there and they want to charge you $8, $9, $10 for a cupcake. And 70% of it was frosting. And I was so disappointed. I feel like that's a lot of the instruction that we get out there. So what I did is I distilled my 25 years of sales experience into a book where I broke it into two parts. One part is psychology, and the second part is tactical execution. Psychology is important because I want people to understand. It's one thing to give people direction and say, okay, do this. But if you don't know why, if you can't connect with that why, if you can't relate, you won't keep doing that thing that you need to do to be successful. And as we know in sales, man, it's all about repetition, man. It's all about creating successful habits that we do over and over and over again. So that's what I did with the book. I really started out with a psychology piece, and then we go into tactical execution. It is not a long book because I am a sales guy. And I know how as sales folks, we don't necessarily, most of us are a little bit ADD and don't have the patience to go through a 300-400 page book. So I wanted to get straight to it and make it edutaining, right? And so I'm educating, but I'm sharing relatable stories that people can connect with and in my voice. So it's a little bit entertaining as well. So that's what I wanted to do with the book and my objective. And so far, I got to tell you, man, it's really crushed out there in terms of the feedback that we've got from the community. The reviews have been awesome. And what I set out to do seems that, that we're pretty much hitting the mark on that. Now, in terms of advice, after you read Shut the Hell Up and Sell, salespeople really need to work on mindset. Right? I lean into a lot of psychology, a lot of meditation. I just did a book club event with Leslie Vennett's group. She invited me to as one of her guests, and we went through Think Like a Monk. And I just found so much connective tissue between that book and not just the philosophies, but the habits of a successful seller, right? Finding ways to be more present. Staying calm, being focused. These are the things that will carry you to a successful sales career, not the tips and tricks and TikTok 30-second videos, man. It's really about being present and learning to be a better servant to that person that's sitting on the other side of the table from you.
I think it's really hard, like you said, to build those habits around those processes that make good salespeople. And that mindset side of it is how you do that, right? You have to be present and clear of mind to do that. And we had Leslie on last week, so weird connection there. Small world.
You know what? I don't know that it's so much a small world, Brian, is that people are drawn to the people that they need to be connected with. And here's what I mean by that. It's like when you start to put yourself out there in this world, the way that Leslie and myself have, you'll find that you start connecting with these similar minds, right? And then you keep bumping into each other. So it's seemingly a small world, but it's just, no, we're putting that energy out in the universe that connects us with those people that we've got great alignment with.
You mentioned the book. I want to dig in there a little bit. I think one thing that you talk about in Shut the Hell Up and Sell is active listening. Yeah. I'm personally a big believer that is one of the most, if not the most crucial skill that doesn't get talked enough about in sales, right? You mentioned all the tips and tricks out there, objection handling, this, that, and the third. Very rarely are folks talking about active listening because it's hard, right? You dig into it though. What advice do you have for someone looking to become a better active listener?
Great question, Brian. So first, read the book or listen to it. Okay, it's on audio. One of the things that we're told when we first start selling by that old gray-haired guy, right? Or that gray-haired woman, they sit you down and they say, Brian, listen, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen, right? And it sounds right. And it is right. But then we get in a sales environment and it's hard as hell to do. Why? Because we're trying to process what we're being told. And then we're trying to think quickly so we can say something really smart so we can impress that person on the other side of the table. And so while we know this to be something that we should do, actually doing it is difficult. And that's what I sought to do in the book, is give people specific direction and instruction to doing it. So I'm going to share one of the things that is a game changer. And these aren't props that I've set up. This is just my life. These are notebooks. Okay. Now, note taking and using a notebook is such a great tool in sales. Here's the reason why. There's a few different reasons. First is that it's going to help you to comprehend better, right? And when you're focused on writing, you're not focused on what it is that I'm thinking, what I need to say to sound smart or to impress this person on the other side of the table. So you're going to comprehend better. You're going to listen better because you are receiving that information in multiple ways by writing it down. Now, second thing that it does is it communicates to that person on the other end that you are listening. See, listening isn't just about, oh, I'm hearing, but it's about communicating with that other person and letting them know and feel like you are listening to them, letting them know and feel that they're being heard. Super important in the sales world, because our job at the end of the day is to serve people and to make sure that we are meeting their needs. Subliminal messaging, kind of like that, or not subliminal is wrong, or implied messaging or implied communication through writing notes like that communicates that to that person on the other side. So while you may not be saying, hey, listen, I'm listening to you, as I'm taking copious notes, and they see me taking those copious notes, that's what they're thinking. And you know what happens when they're thinking that? They're like, oh, I like this person. And it's going to separate you from so many. So your next question to me, Brian, is, well, yeah, that's cool when I'm sitting across the table from people, but what about in this virtual world that we live in? You do the same thing. Okay. I am an AI note taker guy. And I love my AI note taker. I always have it on. And that's going to, for me personally, it helps me way more than just taking the notes, right? Because it's just compiling everything, but that does not stop me from having this notebook, right? And when you get on that virtual meeting, you get on your Teams or you get on your Zoom, what you do is you tell the person on the other end that you're going to be taking notes. Say, hey, listen, my head's going to drop down a little bit. And when it does, just know that I'm taking notes. It accomplishes that same thing in a virtual environment. So even though we have this great technology to take notes for us, actually physically doing it and showing your decision maker or your prospect that you are doing it is a great tool for communicating to them that they matter.
I think, Zoom and this video conferencing is such a high advanced accelerated form of connectivity. And often when people are more connected, sometimes they feel like they don't need to communicate as much. And I really like the point you made around hey man, if it looks like I'm nodding off or dozing off, I'm actually looking down and taking notes, right? I think over communication sometimes is really important in a virtual world. So I really like that call out. Man, your experience is quite impressive, right? I love the variety of your experience all the way back to a company like AT&T, right? It's across industries, it's across levels. I like asking this question because I think everyone has felt this before. You probably had a mentor or a manager or a leader or a coworker that made an impact on you, right? They shared some advice that sticks with you to this day. I'm curious, Ronnell, what's a piece of advice from earlier in your career that sticks with you to this day?
I feel this great sense of service in the community built into me, Brian, because I didn't have a lot of that. I recognized early in my career that people worked with me because I was such a strong, proven commodity. I was a killer. We'll just put it that way, right? And so it was more about what I could do for them than the reverse. So I got to just be honest. I didn't have a lot of that sort of mentorship. And so because of that, it's really a big deal to me to be that for other people, and specifically for marginalized groups, people that they're not used to seeing a Ronnell on the other side. That is where they can see themselves and say, listen, I want to be that guy someday. So I feel there's just a strong will inside of me to be that person for others. Now, with that said, I did certainly have influences, and they mostly came from my family. My grandfather, who I didn't have the best relationship with, left me one gem a few years ago that I really connected with. And he said to me, grandson, he's since passed, just passed last year, but he said, grandson, I keeps it moving. That's what he said. I'm quoting you. I'm quoting him, right? It was always about activity. It was always, whether it's physical activity, walking every day, or mental activity to stay sharp. He always kept moving. He always had purpose. For me, that's what I want. That's what I've always done my whole life. Made sure that I keep moving, that I have purpose, and that purpose is rooted in service to others. And I believe that wholeheartedly. What I've learned over the course of my career is that when you root your activities in service to others, it opens you up for abundance, right? And abundance meaning financial benefit, meaning fulfillment, happiness, right? These are things that you learn over time. So what I try to do is take my grandfather's advice. I use my talents and my skills in ways that can impact and help others so that I can live more of an abundant, happy life and then impact more people.
And I appreciate the vulnerability. I know sometimes sharing family stuff with the world is something not everyone is comfortable doing, but I think that piece of advice definitely resonates, and in sales for sure. I got one last question for you. Crystal ball forecast into 2024. How do you see the tech sales landscape changing this year?
We're in an artificial bubble. You know, so many of my friends were just crushing it 2020, 2021, crushing it as we were in this pandemic and there was forced adoption of so many of the technologies that we sell. And so I was telling people that, hey, listen, make your money, enjoy it, but understand that this is coming to an end and you need to sharpen your relationship development skills. You got to get back to the fundamentals of sales. And that's part of what I think influenced me and inspired me to write the book, right? And so going here into 2024, that has not changed. Like what's new, Brian, is old shit. That's what's new. You have to be thinking about how we leverage these technologies, how we leverage our sales tech, and how we leverage our technology stack to bring us closer to people and stop automating every doggone thing. Lean more into strategies to help us to get in front of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that we need to get in front of, and less of the tech. We're going to continue to see higher technology adoption in a negative way, meaning more automation, more AI in a way to again, automate our jobs and basically take the easy, lazy way out. What that does is it creates a magnificent opportunity for those of you that understand and lean into leveraging tech to build real relationships and real connection with people. Do your one-on-one direct outreach. Don't AI all of your copy. Guess what? We can tell. It's not you. We know. So that's what we're going to see. We're going to see more adoption because every company's leaning into it, which creates a fantastic opportunity for those that want to go the extra mile and use the technologies intelligently.
You heard it here first. Think about relationship development. Man, I'm in your boat on that. If we had more time, I'd jump on a soapbox because I feel the same. Ronnell Richards, how do people get a hold of you and how do they buy your book?
So first, you guys can find me everywhere. If you can't find me everywhere, we're not doing our job. No, but you can Google Ronnell Richards and you'll have a whole bunch of stuff come up. Even if you spell my name wrong, make sure that you follow me on LinkedIn. We just released a fantastic course on relationship sales on the LinkedIn learning platform. If you go to my website, ronnellrichards.com, you'll also be the first to know for our very aggressive and ambitious mission to train as many people as we possibly can this year. So we're going to be releasing new courses every month. And I'm not talking about sitting on a PowerPoint with a little circle. No, we're talking fully produced studio content, really investing in the community, really investing in making sure that we put out fantastic products that bring real value, less frosting and all cake, baby. So that's how you guys can follow me.
Ronnell, thank you so much.